Jake Morrison stared at the dead planet through the viewport of his salvaged ship. Earth hung before him like a broken marble, its surface covered in brown clouds and twisted metal. The radiation sensors on his ship screamed warnings, but Jake had learned to ignore them years ago. "Captain, we should not be here," said Lisa Carter, his second in command. She stood beside him, her arms crossed and her face worried. "The Galactic Council made it clear. Earth is off limits. Forever." Jake smiled but did not look away from the planet. "The Council says a lot of things, Lisa. Most of them are lies." Behind him, Ryan Murphy worked at his computer station. His fingers moved fast across the keyboard as he tried to track the signal they had picked up 3 days ago. It was weak and broken, but it was definitely coming from Earth's surface. Someone down there was still alive, or at least something was still working. "Got it," Ryan said suddenly. "The signal is coming from the old city ruins, what used to be called New York." Dr. Amy Brooks looked up from her research files. She was the team's expert on old civilizations, and she had been studying Earth's history for months. New York was one of their biggest cities before the war. If anyone survived down there, that would be the place to look. Nick Davis, their security chief, checked his weapons for the 10th time that day. "This feels like a trap, Captain. The Council does not make places forbidden for no reason. There has to be something down there they do not want us to find." Jake finally turned away from the viewport. His crew had been with him for 5 years, and he trusted them more than anyone in the galaxy. They had pulled him out of more dangerous situations than he could count. But this felt different. This felt important. "Listen," Jake said, looking at each of them. "We all know the official story. Humans destroyed themselves in a nuclear war 200 years ago. The few survivors were saved by the Council and brought into galactic society. Earth was left as a warning about what happens when a species gets too violent." Amy nodded. "That is what all the history books say." "But you do not believe it," Lisa said. It was not a question. Jake shook his head. "I have been studying the survivors for years. The humans in the galaxy now are nothing like the humans described in the old records. Something does not add up. And now we have a signal coming from a dead world. I want to know what is really down there." Ryan finished his calculations. "I can get us through the radiation field, but it will not be easy. The ship's shields will hold, but we will only have a few hours on the surface before we have to leave." "That should be enough time to find the source of the signal," Amy said. She was already packing her equipment. "If there are ruins down there, I can read them. Human writing has not changed much in the last few centuries." Nick stood up and grabbed his rifle. "If we are doing this, we need to be ready for anything. The Council ships patrol this system regularly. If they catch us here, they will not just arrest us. They will make sure we disappear." Jake felt a chill run down his spine, but he pushed the fear away. He had been a soldier before he became a salvage captain, and he knew how to handle dangerous situations. But this was different. This was not just about money or survival. This was about truth. "All right, everyone get ready," Jake said. "We go in fast and quiet. Ryan, take us down to the cloud cover. Amy, I want you scanning for any structures that might still be standing. Nick, keep your weapons ready. Lisa, monitor all communication channels. If Council ships show up, I want to know immediately." The ship shook as it entered Earth's atmosphere. The radiation level spiked, and the air outside became thick and poisonous. Through the clouds, they could see the remains of what had once been a great city. Twisted metal towers reached up like broken fingers, and the streets were filled with rubble and debris. "There," Amy said, pointing at her scanner. "I am picking up something big about 2 miles north of here. It looks like it might be underground." Jake piloted the ship toward the coordinates Amy had given him. They flew low over the ruins, and he could see the devastation more clearly now. This had not been a nuclear war. The damage was too precise, too controlled. Someone had taken great care to destroy specific buildings, while leaving others standing. "This does not look like a war zone," Lisa said, voicing what they were all thinking. "It looks like someone was looking for something specific." They landed near what had once been a park. The trees were long dead, but their metal skeletons still stood like monuments to a lost world. Jake powered down the ship and checked the air quality outside. It was breathable, but barely. "Suits on everyone," he said. "We do not know what kind of toxins are still in the air." They put on their protective gear and stepped outside. The silence was complete and eerie. No birds, no insects, no sound of life anywhere. Just the wind moving through the broken buildings. Amy led them toward the readings she had detected. They walked through streets filled with the remains of vehicles and buildings. Everything was covered in a fine layer of dust that had been there for centuries. "Look at this," Amy said, stopping beside a pile of rubble. She knelt down and brushed away some of the dust. Underneath was a piece of metal with writing on it. But the writing was not in any human language they recognized. "That is strange," Ryan said, looking over her shoulder. "According to the records, humans only had one written language when they destroyed themselves." Amy took pictures of the metal and put it in her sample bag. "There is something else. This metal is not corroded at all. It should have rusted away decades ago, but it looks like it was made yesterday." They continued walking until they reached the coordinates Amy had given them. There was nothing there but a large crater in the ground, but Amy's scanner was going crazy. "Whatever is down there is big," she said, "and it is still giving off energy readings." Jake looked around at his team. They had come this far, and he was not going to turn back now. "All right, people, let us find out what the Council does not want us to see." Nick began setting up his excavation equipment, while Amy continued scanning the area. Lisa kept watch for any signs of Council ships, and Ryan worked on the computers, trying to get more detailed readings of what lay beneath their feet. Jake stood at the edge of the crater and felt a strange excitement building inside him. They were about to uncover something that had been hidden for 2 centuries. Something important enough that the most powerful alliance in the galaxy had declared an entire planet forbidden to protect it. He had no idea that what they were about to find would change everything they thought they knew about humanity, about the galaxy, and about themselves. The excavation took 2 days. Nick's machines dug deep into the crater, moving tons of rubble and twisted metal. With each hour that passed, Amy's scanners showed clearer images of what lay beneath. It was not just big. It was massive. "Captain, you need to see this," Amy called out on the second morning. She was standing at the edge of the dig site, staring at her scanner with wide eyes. The structure down there is not just a building. It is an entire complex. It stretches for miles in every direction. Jake climbed down into the crater, where Nick was operating the digging machine. The hole was now 30 feet deep, and they could see the top of something that looked like a metal ceiling. But this was not ordinary metal. It had a strange shimmer to it, almost like it was alive. "What kind of metal is that?" Lisa asked, joining them at the bottom of the hole. Ryan ran his scanner over the surface and shook his head. "I have never seen anything like it. It is definitely not from Earth, but it is not from any known alien civilization either. And look at this." He pointed to his readings. "It is giving off its own energy. This thing has been powered for centuries." Amy knelt down and brushed dirt away from the metal surface. As she did, symbols appeared in the metal itself, glowing with a soft blue light. They were definitely human letters, but arranged in a way that seemed both ancient and futuristic at the same time. "Can you read it?" Jake asked. Amy studied the symbols for several minutes before answering. "Some of it. It says something about a facility, but the language is different. It is like English, but older, much older than it should be." Nick had found what looked like a doorway in the metal ceiling. It was sealed shut, but his tools showed that it was designed to open. "Captain, I think we can get inside. But once we open this, there is no going back. If the Council finds out we have been down here..." Jake looked around at his team. They had come this far together, and he would not make this decision alone. "What do you all think?" Ryan was the first to speak. "I say we go in. This technology could change everything we know about human history. We cannot walk away from that." Lisa nodded. "I agree, but we need to be careful. We have no idea what is down there." Amy was still studying the glowing symbols. "The writing suggests this place was built as some kind of shelter or storage facility. But built by whom? And when? According to everything we know, Humans did not have this kind of technology 200 years ago. Nick finished his work on the doorway. Ready when you are, Captain. Jake took a deep breath. Open it. Nick activated his tools, and the doorway began to slide open with a soft hissing sound. Air rushed out of the opening, air that had been trapped for centuries but was still fresh and clean. Light spilled out from inside, revealing a corridor that stretched away into the darkness. The air is breathable, Ryan said, checking a scanner, and the corridor has artificial gravity. This place is still fully operational. They climbed through the doorway one by one. The corridor was wide enough for 4 people to walk side by side, and the walls were covered with the same strange, shimmering metal they had seen outside. But here, the walls were covered with symbols and pictures that told a story. Amy walked slowly along one wall, running her fingers over the symbols. This is incredible. It is like a history book written in metal. But the history it is telling does not match anything in our records. What does it say? Jake asked. Amy moved further down the corridor, reading as she went. It talks about humans traveling between the stars long, before the official first contact with aliens. It shows ships that look nothing like the primitive vessels described in the history books. And look at this section. She stopped in front of a large panel covered with star maps. These show human colonies in dozens of star systems. Colonies that were supposed to have been established centuries after Earth was destroyed. Lisa was checking her communication equipment. Captain, I am picking up more signals. They are coming from deeper in the facility. Someone or something is definitely still active down here. They followed the corridor for what felt like miles. The walls continued to tell their strange story of a human civilization that was far more advanced than anyone had believed possible. They passed sealed doors and branching corridors, but Amy insisted they stay on the main path. The symbols are leading us somewhere specific, she explained. There is something at the center of this complex that they want us to find. Ryan was constantly scanning their surroundings. The energy readings are getting stronger. Whatever is powering this place, it is massive, and it has been running for centuries without any maintenance. Nick kept his weapons ready, but so far they had seen no signs of danger. The facility was clean and well-maintained, as if someone had just left yesterday. This does not feel like ruins, Captain. This feels like someone just stepped out for a few minutes. After an hour of walking, they reached what appeared to be the center of the complex. The corridor opened into a vast circular chamber with a domed ceiling that reached up into darkness. In the center of the chamber was a raised platform, and on the platform was something that made them all stop and stare. It was a holographic display showing the galaxy, but not as they knew it. This galaxy had human colonies marked on hundreds of worlds. Ships moved between the stars in patterns that suggested a massive interstellar civilization. And at the center of it all was Earth, not as a dead world, but as the heart of a galactic empire. This cannot be real, Lisa said, but her voice was full of wonder rather than disbelief. Amy approached the display slowly. As she got closer, the hologram changed, showing more detailed information. Dates appeared beside the colonial markers, and Amy gasped when she read them. According to this, humans established their first interstellar colony in 1847. That is over 300 years ago. But the official records say humans did not even achieve space flight until 1957. Ryan was scanning the display with his equipment. Captain, this is not just a recording. This is connected to active databases. The information is being updated in real time. Updated by who? Nick asked. There is no one left on Earth to update anything. As if in answer to his question, a voice spoke from speakers hidden somewhere in the chamber walls. It was clearly artificial, but it sounded more human than any alien AI they had ever heard. Welcome, survivors. I have been waiting for you to return. Jake stepped forward, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon. Who are you? What is this place? I am the facility's central AI. I was given many names over the centuries, but you may call me Adam. This complex was built as a repository of human knowledge and technology. It was hidden here as part of humanity's contingency plan. Amy looked around the chamber in amazement. Contingency plan for what? For the war that destroyed the human empire. The war that your people have forgotten, but that I remember perfectly. The holographic display changed again, showing scenes of space battles between human ships and vessels they did not recognize. The alien ships were sleek and deadly, but the human ships fought with desperation that was both inspiring and terrifying. "What happened here?" Jake asked. Adam's voice carried a note of sadness that seemed impossible for an artificial intelligence. "Your people discovered something that the other races feared. Humans had developed the ability to manipulate reality itself through a combination of advanced technology and what you called quantum consciousness. The galactic powers decided that humanity was too dangerous to be allowed to continue growing." Lisa was staring at the battle scenes playing out in the hologram. "So they destroyed Earth to stop us?" "They destroyed your entire civilization. Hundreds of worlds, billions of people. They made it look like humans had destroyed themselves in a primitive nuclear war, then took the survivors and altered their memories. The humans in the galaxy today believe they are the descendants of a failed species." Nick clenched his fists. "But some of us survived. Some of us remember. A few facilities like this one were built in secret before the war. We have been waiting for humans to rediscover their true heritage, waiting for someone to come looking for the truth." Ryan was studying his readings with excitement. "Captain, the energy source for this place. It is not just a power generator. According to these scans, it is some kind of dimensional engine. This entire facility exists partially outside normal space." Adam's voice filled the chamber again. "You have found more than just the truth about your past. You have found the key to reclaiming your future. But first, you must see what your ancestors left for you." The platform in the center of the chamber began to rise, revealing a staircase that led down into the depths of the complex. At the bottom, Jake could see lights and a suggestion of something vast and powerful waiting for them. "What is down there?" he asked. "Your inheritance," Adam replied. "The ship that will carry humanity back to the stars." The staircase led them deeper into the earth than Jake had thought possible. They descended for what felt like an hour, passing level after level of sealed chambers and corridors that branched off into the darkness. The walls continued to glow with that strange, living metal, and the air remained fresh and breathable despite being so far underground. "How deep does this place go?" Lisa asked, her voice echoing in the stairwell. Adam's voice followed them as they walked. "The facility extends 12 miles down and 30 miles in each direction. What you have seen so far is only the reception area." Amy was running her hands along the walls, reading the symbols that appeared wherever she touched. "The writing is getting more complex as we go deeper. It is talking about projects and experiments that I can barely understand. Something about bending space and time, about traveling between dimensions." Ryan was constantly checking his scanners. "The energy readings are off the charts now. Whatever is at the bottom of these stairs is putting out more power than a small star." Nick had been quiet during the long descent, but now he spoke up. "Captain, I have been thinking about what Adam told us up there. If humans really had an interstellar empire, where did it go? There should be ruins, survivors, something left behind." "There are," Adam said, "but they are hidden just as this facility was hidden. Your ancestors knew that if they were going to lose a war, they would need to make sure their knowledge and technology survived. They created dozens of facilities like this one throughout the galaxy, each one hidden and protected by dimensional shields. Finally, they reached the bottom of the staircase. It opened onto a platform that overlooked the largest chamber Jake had ever seen. It was so vast that the walls disappeared into darkness, and the ceiling was lost in shadows far above. But what dominated the chamber was impossible to miss. A starship hung in the center of the space, suspended in a field of blue energy. It was clearly of human design, but unlike any ship Jake had ever seen. It was sleek and organic looking, as if it had been grown rather than built. The hull seemed to shift and change as they watched, sometimes solid, sometimes translucent, as if it existed in multiple dimensions at once. "My God," Lisa whispered. "What is that thing?" Adam's voice was filled with pride. "That is the UES Phoenix, the most advanced starship ever built by human hands. It was completed just days before Earth fell, and has been waiting here ever since for humans to return and claim it." Amy was staring at the ship with wide eyes. "UES? What does that stand for?" "United Earth Ship. The Phoenix was a flagship of humanity's deep space exploration fleet. It was designed not just for interstellar travel, but for travel between dimensions and realities. Ryan was running every scanner he had, and the readings were making him shake his head in disbelief. Captain, this ship is not just powered. It is alive. I am reading biological components integrated with the technology, and the energy signature. It is like nothing I have ever seen. Jake walked to the edge of the platform and looked down at the ship. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. He could feel something pulling at his mind, as if the ship was aware of his presence and was trying to communicate with him. "How do we get aboard?" he asked. Adam's reply came with what sounded like amusement. "You simply ask. The Phoenix has been waiting for its crew to return. It will recognize you as human and grant you access." A bridge of light suddenly appeared, stretching from their platform to the ship's hull. Jake looked back at his team and saw his own mixture of excitement and fear reflected in their faces. "Well," he said, "we have come this far." They crossed the bridge of light one by one. As they approached the ship's hull, a doorway opened for them without any sound or visible mechanism. They stepped inside, and Jake felt like he was entering a living creature rather than a machine. The interior of the ship was unlike anything they had expected. The corridors were wide and curved, with walls that seemed to pulse with their own heartbeat. Soft light emanated from everywhere and nowhere, and the floors felt warm beneath their feet. "Welcome home," said a new voice, this one clearly female and warmer than Adam's artificial tones. "I am the Phoenix AI. I have been waiting so long for you to return." Amy was running her fingers along the walls, and wherever she touched, new symbols appeared. "The ship is trying to communicate with me. It is showing me things, memories of the crew that used to serve aboard her." "What kind of memories?" Jake asked. Amy closed her eyes and concentrated. "I can see them. The original crew. Captain Matthew Harrison, Commander Sarah Walsh, Lieutenant Commander Kevin Park, and dozens of others. They were like us. Explorers, scientists, soldiers. But they had abilities we have lost. They could interface directly with the ship's systems using only their minds." Ryan was examining the ship's control systems, or what he thought might be control systems. They looked nothing like the technology he was used to. These interfaces are designed for mental control, not manual operation. No one of the Phoenix AI said the ship was alive. It was designed to be a partner, not just a vehicle. Lisa had found what appeared to be the ship's bridge. It was a circular chamber with a raised platform in the center. When she stepped onto the platform, holographic displays appeared all around her, showing views of space, technical readouts, and star charts. "Captain, you need to see this," she called. The ship's navigation system shows hundreds of destinations, coordinates for human colonies that are supposed to be impossible. Jake joined her on the bridge platform, and the displays changed to respond to his presence. Now he could see tactical information, weapon systems that defied his understanding, and propulsion readings that suggested the ship could travel faster than light, without using any of the standard drive technologies. "Phoenix," he said, addressing the ship's AI directly, "show us what happened to human empire." The displays changed to show historical records. They watched as human ships explored the galaxy, establishing colonies and making contact with dozens of alien species. For centuries, humans have been a major galactic power, respected and feared for their technological advancement and their unique abilities. But then something changed. The record showed meetings between alien leaders, secret agreements, and finally, coordinated attacks on human colonies throughout the galaxy. "They were afraid of us," Nick said, watching the battles unfold on the displays. "The other races worked together to destroy us because they thought we were becoming too powerful." "Not just powerful," Amy said, still interfacing with the ship's memory banks. "The records show that humans were developing abilities that the other races considered impossible. We were learning to manipulate reality itself, to change the fundamental laws of physics through focused consciousness." Phoenix's voice filled the bridge. "Your ancestors call it quantum consciousness, the ability to observe reality and, through observation, change it. It was humanity's greatest achievement and the reason for your downfall." Ryan was studying the technical specifications Phoenix was showing him. According to this, The ship's engines do not just move through space. They move through dimensions. The Phoenix can exist in multiple realities simultaneously, making it impossible to track or destroy. That is correct, Phoenix said. I was designed as humanity's last hope. If the Empire fell, I would preserve human knowledge and technology until new humans could be found and trained to use it. Jake felt a weight settling on his shoulders. They had come looking for salvage and had instead found the remnants of a lost civilization. But more than that, they had found responsibility. What do you need from us? He asked. I need a crew, Phoenix replied. Not just operators, but partners. Humans who can interface with my systems and help me fulfill my purpose. Amy was still exploring the ship's memories. Captain, there is more. The Phoenix was not the only ship like this. The records show that there were dozens of similar vessels, all hidden throughout the galaxy. If we can activate them, we can rebuild the human fleet, Lisa finished. Jake looked around at his team. They were salvagers and explorers, not the crew of a legendary starship. But looking at their faces, he could see the same determination that had driven them to break into Earth's forbidden zones. All right, Phoenix, he said. Show us how to wake up the rest of our people. The ship's systems came alive around them, and Jake felt something changing in his mind. The Phoenix was not just accepting them as crew. It was making them into something more than they had been before. Something closer to what humans were meant to be. Outside, in the vast chamber, other systems were beginning to activate. Adam's voice reached them through the ship's communication system. Captain Morrison, you should know that your arrival here has triggered automatic protocols. Signals are being sent to the other hidden facilities. Humanity's return to the galaxy has begun. Over the next several hours, the Phoenix shared its vast memory banks with Jake and his crew. The ship's AI did not just show them information. It allowed them to experience the memories directly, to see through the eyes of the original crew and feel what they had felt. Jake found himself standing on the bridge of the Phoenix 200 years ago, watching as Captain Harrison received the final transmission from Earth Command. The message was brief and terrible. The coordinated alien attack had begun, and all human colonies were under assault. It was not a war, Jake said when the memory ended. It was an extermination. Amy was experiencing different memories, technical records that showed how human science had advanced far beyond what the galaxy had believed possible. They were not just afraid of our military strength. They were afraid of what we were becoming. The records show humans who could manipulate matter with their thoughts, who could see across vast distances of space, who could even predict future events. Ryan was interfacing with the ship's technical systems, learning how human technology had developed along completely different lines than what the rest of the galaxy used. Our ancestors did not just build better machines. They built machines that worked with human consciousness, technology that amplified natural human abilities rather than replacing them. Lisa was studying the strategic databases, learning about the war that had destroyed humanity's galactic presence. The Alien Alliance did not just attack our military targets. They specifically targeted human research facilities, universities, and anyone who showed signs of advanced mental abilities. They were trying to prevent our evolution. Nick was reviewing the tactical records, and what he saw made him angry. They used weapons designed to look like human technology. Every destroyed colony, every ruined world was made to look like humans had done it to themselves. The survivors were told it was civil war, nuclear holocaust, anything except the truth. Phoenix's voice was gentle but firm as she guided them through the revelations. Your people were not just victims of genocide. You were victims of a carefully planned campaign to erase your true nature from galactic history. The humans who survived were given false memories and integrated into alien society as a primitive species. The ship showed them records of survivors being processed by alien medical facilities. Their memories were altered, their natural abilities suppressed, and their children were raised to believe that humanity had never been more than a violent, self-destructive race. But some of us remembered. Adam's voice came through the ship's communication system. Hidden facilities like this one were built by humans who suspected what was coming. We preserved not just your technology, but your genetic heritage and your true history. Amy was exploring the deepest memory banks, accessing records that had been sealed for centuries. Captain, you need to see this. The Phoenix is not just a ship. It is a seed. Jake joined her at the memory interface. What do you mean? The ship contains the genetic templates for millions of humans, including many who possess the advanced abilities the aliens feared. If we can find suitable worlds, the Phoenix can literally regrow the human population. Ryan looked up from the technical systems he was studying. Not just regrow, but restore. The ship's medical facilities can enhance human DNA, bringing back abilities that have been suppressed for generations. Phoenix confirmed what they were learning. My creators knew that if humanity was to return to the galaxy, you would need to be more than you were before the war. The Phoenix can awaken potential that lies dormant in all human genetic code. Nick was studying the weapon systems, and what he found was both impressive and terrifying. This ship is not just a colony vessel, Captain. It is a warship designed to fight enemies that exist in multiple dimensions. The weapons can target ships that are trying to hide in alternate realities. Jake felt the weight of responsibility growing heavier. They were not just learning about the past. They were being prepared for a future that would demand everything they had to give. Phoenix, show us the other facilities. How many ships like you are there? The main display lit up with a map of the galaxy. Dozens of points of light appeared, scattered across hundreds of star systems. Some were dim, others bright, and a few were flashing with urgent signals. There are 43 facilities like this one, Phoenix said. Each contains a ship similar to myself, along with preserved human populations and technology. Some have been discovered and destroyed over the centuries, but most remain hidden and waiting. Amy was studying the map with growing excitement. Look at the locations. They are not random. The facilities are positioned to cover the entire galaxy. If all the ships were activated, we would have a fleet capable of challenging the entire Galactic Council. Lisa finished. But Phoenix's next revelation was even more significant. The ships are already beginning to wake up. Your arrival here has triggered automatic protocols that have been dormant for 2 centuries. Signals are being sent across the galaxy, and other Phoenix-class vessels are beginning their startup procedures. Ryan's scanner suddenly began showing new readings. Captain, I am picking up massive energy signatures from all over the galaxy. Dozens of them. They're all using the same dimensional technology as this ship. Nick was checking the tactical displays. And I am reading alien military vessels moving toward the energy signatures. The Council knows something is happening. Jake realized that they were out of time. The decision had been made for them when they opened the facility. Humanity's return to the galaxy had begun, whether they were ready or not. Phoenix, what do we need to do? First, you must become what you were meant to be. The ship's enhancement chambers can awaken your dormant abilities, but the process is irreversible. You will no longer be baseline humans. Amy looked around at the others. What exactly does that mean? You will gain the ability to interface directly with the ship's systems using your consciousness. You will be able to perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously. Your lifespans will be extended and your mental capabilities will be enhanced far beyond current human norms. It was Lisa who spoke first. Will we still be us? You will be more than you are now, but you will still be yourselves. The enhancement process does not change personality or memories. It only unlocks potential that already exists within you. Jake looked at each member of his crew. They had followed him this far, trusted him to lead them into the unknown. But this decision would change their lives forever. I need to know that you all understand what we are facing, he said. If we do this, we are not just accepting enhancement. We are accepting the responsibility for humanity's future. We are going to war against the entire galactic order. Ryan was the first to respond. Captain, after what we have learned, how can we not do this? Our entire species was nearly wiped out, and the survivors have been living alive for centuries. We have to give humanity a chance to reclaim its true heritage. Amy nodded. The knowledge preserved in these ships could advance human science by thousands of years. We cannot let that be lost again. Nick checked his weapons one more time. I have been a soldier all my life, Captain. I have never had a chance to fight for something this important. Lisa was studying the galactic map, watching as more and more Phoenix-class ships came online. We are not alone anymore. For the first time in centuries, humanity has hope. Jake felt something shifting in his mind, a sense of purpose and destiny. that he had never experienced before. The Phoenix was already beginning to influence him, to awaken abilities he had never known he possessed. "All right," he said, "let us become what we were meant to be." The ship's enhancement chambers began to open around them, each one filled with a soft, welcoming light. As they stepped inside, Jake had one last thought as a baseline human. They had come looking for salvage and had instead found salvation, not just for themselves, but for their entire species. Jake woke up feeling like he had been reborn. The enhancement chamber had felt like a warm dream, but now he could perceive reality in ways he had never imagined possible. He could see the energy flows throughout the ship, feel the thoughts of his crew members, and sense the dimensional currents that flowed through space itself. "How do you feel, Captain?" Phoenix asked, her voice now resonating directly in his mind rather than through speakers. Jake stood up slowly, testing his new awareness. His body felt the same, but his mind was expanded in ways that were difficult to describe. "I feel complete, like I have been walking around with only half my senses my entire life." Amy emerged from her chamber with wonder in her eyes. She was running her hands along the ship's walls, and Jake could see through his enhanced perception that she was reading the ship's memory banks directly through touch. "The information storage in this ship is incredible," she said, her voice filled with awe. "I can access the complete history of human civilization, not just what happened, but how people felt, what they hoped for, what they dreamed of." Ryan was interfacing with the ship's technical systems without using any external equipment. His enhanced consciousness was directly connected to Phoenix's computers, allowing him to understand the ship's capabilities at a level that would have taken years of study before. "Captain, this ship is not just advanced. It is revolutionary. The propulsion system does not move us through space. It moves space around us. We can travel anywhere in the galaxy instantly, and the Council will never be able to track us." Lisa had moved to the navigation station and was mentally accessing star charts that covered not just their galaxy, but dozens of others. The Phoenix was designed for exploration beyond anything we imagined. This ship can travel to other galaxies, other dimensions, even other realities. Nick was examining the weapon systems with his enhanced awareness, and what he found was both impressive and sobering. The armaments on this ship are designed to fight enemies that exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. We can target Council ships even if they try to hide in alternate realities. Phoenix's presence filled their minds as she spoke to all of them at once. "You are adapting to the enhancements faster than expected. Your human flexibility is one of the traits that made your species so feared by the galactic powers." Jake could feel the ship's systems around him like extensions of his own body. With a thought, he activated the main display and watched as it showed him the status of Phoenix-class vessels throughout the galaxy. 37 ships were now online and ready for action. Each one carried a crew of enhanced humans who had been awakened from preservation chambers, along with vast stores of human technology and genetic material. The fleet that was assembling represented not just military power, but the rebirth of human civilization. "How many people have we awakened?" Amy asked, her consciousness ranging across the communication networks that connected all the Phoenix ships. "Approximately 50,000, Phoenix replied. "Each ship carries between 1,000 and 2,000 preserved humans, plus the AI systems needed to support them. Not a large population, but enough to restore your species, if we can establish secure colonies." Ryan was studying the technical capabilities of the fleet. These ships are not just individual vessels. They are designed to work together as a single network. When all 43 ships are active, they will function as one massive intelligence. But Jake was studying something more immediate and troubling. His enhanced senses were picking up massive movements throughout the galaxy as Council forces responded to the awakening Phoenix fleet. "They know we are here," he said. "Council warships are moving toward every active Phoenix vessel. They are trying to destroy us before we can fully activate." Nick was analyzing the tactical situation through the ship's sensors. "The Council has mobilized their entire military. Thousands of ships from dozens of species, all converging on our positions. They are not taking any chances this time." Lisa was monitoring the communication channels between Council forces. "They are calling it the final purge. They intend to wipe out every trace of human civilization once and for all." Amy was accessing historical records, comparing the current situation to the war 2 centuries ago. This is exactly what happened before. The moment humans began to show their true potential, the entire galaxy united against us. Jake felt a cold anger building inside him, amplified by his enhanced emotions. The Council had not just destroyed his people once. They were prepared to do it again rather than allow humanity to reclaim its rightful place among the stars. Phoenix, what are our chances against the entire Council fleet? With all 43 ships active and fully crewed, we would have a significant advantage. Our dimensional technology makes us nearly impossible to destroy, and our weapons can penetrate any known defensive systems. However, we currently have only 37 ships online, and several are still completing their startup procedures. Ryan was running calculations through the ship's computers. The Council forces will reach the furthest Phoenix ships in approximately 6 hours. We need to either evacuate them or prepare for immediate combat. Nick was already planning defensive strategies. Captain, we cannot fight a defensive battle. With our dimensional capabilities, our best strategy is to strike at the Council's command structure before they can coordinate their attack. Amy was studying the political structure of the Galactic Council through the ship's databases. The Council's leadership is meeting an emergency session on Zentari Prime. If we could disrupt their command authority, their fleet might fragment along species lines. Jake realized that they were facing the same choice their ancestors had faced 2 centuries ago. They could try to hide, to preserve what they had found and hope to rebuild in secret. Or they could fight for humanity's right to exist as equals in the galaxy. Phoenix, can you connect me to all the other ships in the fleet? Yes, Captain. You are now linked to all active Phoenix-class vessels and their crews. Suddenly, Jake's consciousness expanded to encompass the minds of 50,000 enhanced humans scattered across the galaxy. He could feel their fear, their anger, their determination, and their hope. They were looking to him for leadership, for a decision that would determine the future of their species. My fellow humans, he said, his thoughts reaching every enhanced mind in the fleet. 2 centuries ago, our ancestors faced the same choice. They chose to hide, to preserve what they could, and to hope that someday we would return stronger than before. That day has come. He shared his memories of discovering the truth about humanity's past, the lies that had been told, the genocide that had been disguised as self-destruction. He showed them the potential that lay within each human consciousness, the abilities that the Council feared above all else. We are not just fighting for our survival, he continued. We are fighting for the right of consciousness to evolve, to grow, to become something greater than it was before. The Council wants to keep the galaxy static, controlled, predictable. We represent change, growth, the possibility that intelligence can transcend its limitations. Amy was monitoring the response from the other ships. Enhanced humans throughout the galaxy were making their choice, choosing to stand and fight rather than hide again. They are with us, Captain, she said. All 37 active ships are moving into attack formation. Ryan had been calculating the energy requirements for a coordinated dimensional assault. If we link all the ships together and strike simultaneously, we can appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. The Council fleet will never know what hit them. Nick was coordinating with the other ships' tactical officers. The other ships are reporting full weapons readiness. Whatever happens, we will not go quietly this time. Lisa was studying the possible political ramifications of their actions. If we succeed, we will not just be military victors. We will be revealing to the entire galaxy that the Council has been built on lies and genocide. Some species might choose to join us rather than support the Council. Jake felt the weight of history settling on his shoulders. The decision he made in the next few minutes would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. All ships, prepare for dimensional assault. Target, Zentari Prime and the Council leadership. It is time to remind the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. As the Phoenix and her sister ships began to phase into dimensional space, Jake had one final thought. They had awakened as humanity's last hope. Now they would discover if hope was enough to change the fate of the galaxy. The Phoenix emerged from dimensional space directly above Zentari Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Council. Around them, 36 other ships materialized simultaneously. their arrival so sudden and unexpected that the planet's defensive systems had no time to react. Jake stood on the bridge, his enhanced consciousness linked to every ship in the fleet and every enhanced human under his command. Through their combined awareness, he could perceive the entire battle space in perfect detail. Council ships are scrambling to respond, Lisa reported, her mind interfacing directly with the Phoenix's sensor arrays. But they are too scattered. Their fleet is spread across the galaxy, hunting for us in all the wrong places. Amy was monitoring the Council's emergency communications. The leadership is in panic. They never expected us to strike at their political center. They thought we would try to run and hide like our ancestors did. Ryan was coordinating the fleet's technical operations. All ships are maintaining dimensional phase. We exist partially outside normal space, making us nearly impossible to target with conventional weapons. Nick was directing the tactical assault. Council defense platforms are trying to lock on to us, but their targeting systems cannot track objects that exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. We have complete tactical superiority. Jake opened a communication channel that would reach every inhabited world in the galaxy. His enhanced voice carried the authority of 50,000 awakened humans and the moral weight of centuries of injustice. People of the galaxy, he began, I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Phoenix. Today, you learn the truth about humanity and about the Galactic Council that has ruled your lives for centuries. The Phoenix's communication systems projected holographic records throughout the galaxy, showing the evidence they had found in Earth's hidden facilities. The real history of human civilization, the coordinated genocide that had destroyed it, and the lies that had covered up the truth for 2 centuries. Humanity did not destroy itself in primitive wars, Jake continued. We were exterminated because we represented something the Council feared. Evolution, growth, the possibility that consciousness could transcend the limitations they wanted to maintain. On Zentari Prime below, Jake could see through the ship's sensors as Council leaders tried desperately to coordinate a response. But their own lies were working against them. For centuries they had taught the galaxy that humans were primitive and weak. Now they had to explain how a supposedly inferior species had appeared with technology that made their own fleets obsolete. Amy was broadcasting the historical records directly into the minds of every enhanced human in the galaxy. Captain, we are receiving responses from human populations on hundreds of worlds. Their suppressed memories are beginning to return. They are remembering what they really are. Across the galaxy, humans who had lived their entire lives believing they were the descendants of a failed species were suddenly awakening to their true heritage. The genetic modifications that had suppressed their ability for generations were breaking down under the influence of the Phoenix ship's dimensional fields. Ryan was monitoring the effects. It is incredible, Captain. Human consciousness is designed to resonate with these dimensional frequencies. Every human in the galaxy is beginning to awaken, whether they are near our ships or not. The response from the Council was swift and predictable. Their scattered fleets began converging on Zentari Prime, determined to destroy the Phoenix ships, even if it meant devastating their own capital world. Nick was tracking the incoming forces. 17,000 Council warships approaching from all vectors. They are preparing to sacrifice Zentari Prime, if necessary, to stop us. Jake felt a moment of sadness for the innocent lives that would be lost in the coming battle. But he also knew that this was the moment humanity had to prove it deserved to exist as equals rather than as subjects. All ships, prepare for combat. Show them what human consciousness can accomplish when it is free to reach its potential. The Phoenix fleet moved with perfect coordination, their enhanced crews operating as a single intelligence spread across 37 vessels. They did not fight like individual ships, but like the organs of a single vast organism. The Council fleets opened fire with every weapon they possessed, but the Phoenix ships existed partially outside the dimensions where the attacks were occurring. Energy beams passed through them harmlessly. Missiles exploded against empty space, and boarding parties found themselves trying to board ships that were no longer fully present in their reality. In response, the human fleet demonstrated weapons technology that the Council had never imagined. The Phoenix ships fired projectiles that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, allowing them to bypass shields and armor that were only designed to work in normal space. Council vessels simply ceased to exist as their molecular structure was disrupted across dimensional boundaries. "Captain," Amy called out, "we are receiving surrender requests from over 200 Council ships. Their crews are refusing to continue fighting against impossible odds." Lisa was monitoring the political situation on thousands of worlds. The revelations about humanity's true history are causing revolutions throughout the galaxy. Species that have been suppressed by the Council are rising up, demanding their own freedom to evolve. But the Council's core leadership was not ready to surrender. From the surface of Centauri Prime, massive weapons that had been built to destroy entire star systems were being aimed at the Phoenix fleet. "They are preparing to use their planet-killer weapons," Nick reported. "Even against targets they cannot properly track. Those weapons could destroy us through sheer destructive force." Jake made a decision that would have been impossible for a baseline human consciousness, but which his enhanced awareness made clear and necessary. He linked his mind not just his fleet, but to every awakened human consciousness in the galaxy. "My fellow humans," he said, speaking to millions of minds across hundreds of worlds, "it is time to show the galaxy what we are truly capable of. Focus your consciousness. Help us demonstrate why they feared us so much." Across the galaxy, millions of newly awakened humans joined their enhanced abilities to the Phoenix fleet. The ships began to glow with an energy that was not technological but conscious, the focused will of an entire species made manifest. The planet-killer weapons fired, unleashing enough energy to crack a world in half. But the energy streams bent around the Phoenix ships as if space itself was protecting them. The weapon's destructive force was absorbed and redirected, channeled by human consciousness into a demonstration of power that left the entire galaxy speechless. The redirected energy struck the Council's weapon installations, not destroying them but transforming them. The weapons of war became monuments to the possibility of peace, their destructive potential converted into broadcasters that carried the truth about humanity's past to every corner of the galaxy. In the silence that followed, Jake opened a final communication channel. "The age of suppression is over," he announced. "Humanity returns to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as liberators. We offer every species the same choice we acclaim for ourselves: the freedom to evolve, to grow, to become more than you were before." Amy was monitoring the responses from across the galaxy. "Captain, we are receiving millions of messages. Species that have been controlled by the Council for millennia are declaring their independence. The old order is collapsing." Ryan was analyzing the long-term implications. "With our dimensional technology and enhanced consciousness, we can help other species awaken their own dormant potential. The galaxy is about to enter a new age of evolution and growth." Nick was coordinating with the surrendering Council forces. "The military commanders are asking for terms. They want to know what kind of government we plan to establish." Jake looked around at his crew, at the bridge of the ship that had carried them from simple salvagers to the leaders of humanity's renaissance. He could feel the presence of 50,000 enhanced humans throughout the fleet, and millions more awakening on worlds across the galaxy. "We will not establish a government," he said. "We will establish something better. A voluntary association of conscious species, each free to evolve according to their own nature, but working together to explore the infinite possibilities of existence." Lisa was already working on the practical details. The Phoenix ships can serve as mobile bases for exploration and development. Each ship is equipped to support entire civilizations as they develop their conscious potential. Amy was accessing the ship's vast databases of human knowledge and technology. "We can share everything our ancestors learned, help other species avoid the mistakes that led to our near extinction." As the Phoenix fleet prepared to disperse throughout the galaxy, beginning the long work of building a new kind of interstellar civilization, Jake felt a deep satisfaction. They had started as salvagers looking for valuable debris, and had become the architects of a new galactic age. The last message he sent was broadcast Earth itself, to the hidden facility where their journey had begun. "Adam, this is Captain Morrison. The Phoenix has risen, and humanity has returned to the stars. Thank you for keeping the flame alive until we were ready to carry it forward." Adam's response carried 2 centuries of patient hope finally fulfilled. "Welcome home, Captain. Welcome home." The Phoenix and her sister ships phased back into dimensional space, carrying with them the promise of a galaxy where consciousness could grow without limit, where every species could reach for its highest potential, and where the age of suppression had finally come to an end. Humanity had not just survived, they had transcended, and in doing so, they had opened the path for all conscious life to follow.